Hello and welcome to this lesson on what is a hash. We've mentioned hashing algorithms before and they are a fundamental part of blockchain and cryptography in general. But what is a hash? A hash is essentially a one-way function where its aim is to take some data as input. So imagine this is some data, and what it does is it outputs something totally different that does not resemble its original form, and it is not reversible. It is not reversible. So if you have this output, you can't just get that and reverse it into its original form. Or digital content, whether that is some sort of image or a video file or even a text document, is literally just ones and zeros. And a hash function, there are plenty of them out there. We'll cover some of them in a moment. A hash function takes any digital content, literally anything on your computer, any file, anything is a piece of digital content, and produces a unique, or I shouldn't exactly say unique, it's unique enough, and I'll explain what that means in a moment as well, hash value that can be used to determine almost like the validity of that file of the original source, and it's always going to be the same for that particular file. It's a very, very common format for hashes is hexadecimal. It could be something else. It doesn't have to be hexadecimal, but that is a very, very common format. Any modifications done to that file, so imagine if we have a bunch of strings, let's just write some more. So we have this text file that has these numbers in there, essentially strings. If this produces one result, if we were to go and change just one of these values, so let's just change this to a 3, the output will now be totally different. It will be totally different. So any small or large modification will result in a hash value that is absolutely different. And that's one of the core parts of hashing algorithms. Most of the time the output is significantly smaller than the input file, and the algorithm is designed to ensure the input data cannot be retrieved or calculated, like I said, from the output data, hence the term one-way function. And to wrap up, hashing algorithms have 3 main requirements, and these 3 requirements are: it needs to be reasonably fast to generate the hash. So you might be thinking, reasonably fast? Wouldn't faster the better be great? And no, because if it's too quick, it's concerned for security reasons, because when people and computers are trying to hack information that has been hashed using a one-way system, one of the things they will do is actually use the original hashing algorithm and just put a whole bunch of information and just random text, random files through the algorithm, and if it's too fast, they will easily be able to get to what that original hash is, and they'll be able to compare it and say, okay, this was the actual file. So it needs to be reasonably fast, but not too fast. And another main thing, if you change 1 bit, the entire hash must change. So even 1 bit change should result in an entirely different hash value. And finally, it must be unique enough to prevent hash collision. So must be unique enough to prevent hash collisions, because ultimately if you have, let's say, a hashing algorithm which has a length of 128 bits, there are only so many different unique values that this hashing algorithm can pump out. And with the tremendous amount of files, just documents alone that are out there, there's bound to be some hash collisions. But as long as the hash collisions can be prevented from actually occurring with, let's say, people and individuals that are most likely to have data that are common and they're going to be sort of compared with each other, it's okay. So the last thing I'm going to cover is the hashing algorithms that are out there, some of them. There's one called MD5. This is no longer used. For a long time, this was used for passwords. This is so easy to crack now. If you were to get a MD5 value, put into Google and just do a search, Google will most likely just give you the result. There's just so many websites out there that have a catalog of most of the results. So MD5 is just terrible. After that, SHA-1 was developed. That was very secure. That's it looking like it's probably cracked now. There's another one called SHA-2, and a new standard has been designed for, I think you guessed the name, SHA-3. And that was just published in 2015. And what you'll see a lot of time is hashing algorithms like SHA-256, SHA-128, and this is essentially the number of bits that the actual algorithm pumps out. So the higher the number of bits, the more uniqueness that it can take, but on the flip side, the more complexity in terms of the processing. But computers are getting faster, so we can handle more complex hashing algorithms. So that's it for hashing algorithms. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them to me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.